JJK Majiro Chapter 8 is out, and we are finally getting the backstory on Cross and Maru. As usual, these are going to be incredibly rough translations, but if there are some major changes, I'll let you guys know. Now, we start the chapter off with some really big guy who doesn't look like the Sumerian king, but he still looks incredibly powerful, and just like Cross and Maru, he has a third eye. Now, he's actually walking through all of these cages, and he sees in the cages two kids, one of them being Cross and one of them being Maru. They immediately attack this guy the moment they're unleashed from the cage, but he effortlessly defeats them and actually puts them to work. Apparently, they're going to build a canal, and as they're working, the guy is constantly praising them, talking about how good they're actually working. However, just like Ace with Whitebeard, they keep trying to attack the guy, and he keeps effortlessly defeating them. And as they're moving and trying to destroy things, there's this giant boulder that they can't destroy, so the big guy just goes and completely one-shots it and amazes both Cross and Maru. And so Maru and Cross ask why they're even building this canal in the first place, and we go through a pretty lengthy explanation here, though again, it's very roughly translated, so I'll kind of give you my idea of what they're saying. Essentially, their tribe had a sacred treasure that another tribe wanted, which caused their conflict in the first place. And as they battled, they actually consumed each other. Yeah, they literally are eating each other. And during the construction of the canal, it was interrupted because of this battle. So now they're trying to rebuild that construction and kind of coexist with the other tribe, trying to make peace. Now, shortly after they had this conversation, all of the work they had actually been doing somehow suddenly blows up, and they can't figure out who it was. However, the leader assumes it's someone who snuck into the camp. And in between all of this, we learn that Cross doesn't agree with these methods. He doesn't agree with the coexistence. He actually no longer wants to work on the canal. So he actually travels over to another leader, I assume the enemy at that point, and he wants to start smoke with this guy immediately. Now, we actually don't get to see this battle. We actually cut back to where Maru is and the big guy is. However, we also see the ambassador of the aliens that we saw previously. Remember this guy? He shows up again. Now, through a lot of dialogue, Cross actually ends up admitting that he was in the wrong and apologizing. And they actually announced that they've been approved to build the canal. They're actually going to work towards coexistence. And then we flash forward, seeing that the canal has been pretty much completed, and there's actually a giant boat that they've built to cross the canal. Again, coexistence. And at this point, this is such a big flash forward that Cross and Maru look like adults yet again. And they're actually on the boat going down the canal, and even Cross, who's normally just really sour about everything, looks pretty pleased by sailing down the boat. They also talk about how they're going to build a port on the canal as well to increase trade between both of the clans. And in this moment, they thought that this was going to be the turnaround for everything, until it was revealed that apparently their chieftain gets eaten alive. And this is where I think Cross has all of his trauma in having neighbors. He doesn't want neighbors anymore.